There's some hope in Pittsburgh, and it's about time. Joey Porter Jr. and Alex Highsmith might be suiting up this Sunday, and that alone brings a breath of relief for a defense that's been stretched thin in recent weeks. But just when you get good news on one side of the ball, the other side reminds you why fans have been pulling their hair out all season. Calvin Austin is going to be out for a while, and that's not just a depth issue. That's a problem that cuts right to the core of an offense already struggling to find rhythm, identity, and reliable options beyond its number one guy. Look, let's not sugarcoat anything. We're deep enough into this season to call it for what it is. This offense is one-dimensional when it comes to wide receivers, and that one dimension is George Pickens. That's it. That's the list. All offseason, through training camp, preseason reps, and the actual games, the story hasn't changed. It's been George and a cast of players still trying to find their role or justify their spot on the depth chart. And now, with Austin sidelined due to a shoulder injury that doesn't appear to be healing quickly, the question that's been whispered around Steelers Nation all summer is now getting asked louder. When is Omar Khan going to find another legit wide receiver? Sure, it's fair to say the Steelers have a WR2 right now, but the reality is much murkier. Calvin Austin has always had question marks around him, not because of talent, but because of size, durability, and whether he can consistently take on that WR2 role in the NFL without breaking down. That's not a knock on him as a player. It's just the reality of what we've seen. Now he's hurt, and those concerns look a lot more like confirmation than speculation. So what's left? You've got Pickens, and then a bunch of names who haven't proven they can step into that second spot with confidence or production. Scotty Miller? The quarterbacks love him, sure. He's reliable, he runs routes clean, and he's got their trust. But is he a legitimate WR2 in the NFL? Probably not. Roman Wilson is a fan favorite, no doubt. Fans believe in him. They think the kid just hasn't been given a fair shot, like the coaching staff is holding him back for reasons we don't understand. Maybe that's true. Maybe not. But until Wilson proves something on an actual NFL field, something meaningful, he's still in the same boat as the rest. Full of potential, short on results. Then you've got Ben Skoranek. Great on special teams, sure. Had that nice touchdown in New Jersey that turned some heads. But come on, nobody inside the building, and certainly nobody outside it, sees him as the guy to line up opposite George Pickens and take pressure off the number one receiver. That's not his role, and it's not fair to expect it of him. So what's the move? Do you go out and find someone new, an outsider who's either sitting at home right now, trying to get back into game shape, or someone who'd have to come in and learn an entirely new playbook in a matter of weeks? That's the temptation, right? Go get a name, plug the hole, try to save the season. But is that really the smartest move? Or does it make more sense to start getting creative with the guys you already have? Because here's the thing that's getting missed in this whole WR2 debate. The Steelers actually do have players who can catch the football. A lot of them, in fact. Enough that in Dublin, they willingly benched two tight ends, Jonnu Smith and Pat Freiermuth, who have shown they can move the chains when used properly. Smith didn't play more than 16 snaps in that game, and Freiermuth saw a similar workload. That wasn't an accident. That was a conscious game plan decision, designed to go heavy and run right at the Vikings' defense using Spencer Anderson as a sixth offensive lineman. And honestly, it worked. Anderson played 19 snaps, more than either of those tight ends. And Darnell Washington? He didn't just step up, he showed out. He was on the field for 48 of 53 offensive snaps. That's all but 5. He blocked like a beast, helped stabilize the left side of the line, and when the offense needed him to make a catch, he did that too. That was a TE1 performance, if there ever was one. So maybe the solution to the WR2 crisis doesn't lie outside the building. Maybe it's about rethinking the offensive setup altogether. Instead of scrambling to add a new face, maybe you shift a guy like Jonnu Smith a few feet over and line him up out wide. Is it perfect? No. But at this point, the offense needs bodies who understand the system and can get open. It's not about finding a shiny new toy. It's about maximizing the weapons you already have. Jonnu Smith, for all the criticism about his blocking, is coming off a season where he caught 88 passes, 55 of which went for first downs. That's not just production. That's reliability. That's converting in clutch situations. And yet he was standing on the sideline in Ireland watching most of the game. And let's talk about Freiermuth while we're at it. People have soured on him this year, but let's not forget who he is. He's a proven contributor. He's delivered big catches in big moments. He's a mismatch in the middle of the field, especially on third downs. And right now, the Steelers are a team that cannot convert third downs to save their lives. So why are your best third down options holding clipboards while you try to force an identity that clearly isn't working? It all comes back to the offensive line. That's been the storyline from day one this season, and it hasn't changed. In Dublin, the line needed training wheels, 2 extra players to help them do the job of 5. That's not ideal. That's not sustainable. But you know what? It worked at least for that game. Washington and Anderson gave them just enough stability to avoid complete disaster. But again, is that how you want to build your offense moving forward? Relying on extra linemen and tight ends to patch holes just long enough to function? Because if that's the only way you can move the ball, you're in trouble. And the bigger issue is not just the lack of a WR2. It's the lack of a backup plan for George Pickens. If Pickens were to go down, there is no one on this roster who can replicate what he does. Not in terms of production, not in terms of presence, not in terms of running those routes and being that alpha guy. That's the real gap here. It's not just about needing a second receiver. It's about needing someone who can step into the WR1 role if disaster strikes. That player simply does not exist on the current roster. So yes, by all means, go get another receiver if you can find one who fits. But make sure that player isn't just another name to toss into the rotation. Make sure he's someone who can truly fill a gap. Not just now, but if things get worse. And in the meantime, Arthur Smith and Mike Tomlin need to figure out how to get the tight ends more involved in ways that don't just serve as band-aids for the offensive line. Because the truth is, Darnell Washington is proving he deserves more snaps, not fewer. He's changing games, not just helping the line, but making key catches, keeping drives alive, and showing a physical edge that this offense desperately needs. If you've got players like Smith and Freiermuth just standing around, and they're capable of helping your quarterback stay on schedule and convert third downs, then it's on the coaching staff to find ways to make that happen. This team has talent. It has playmakers. What it lacks is a cohesive plan that brings all those parts together. And until that changes, it won't matter how many receivers they bring in from the outside. And if you really look at it, that's where the frustration starts to boil over. Not just for fans, but probably for the players too. Because you've got a locker room full of capable athletes, guys with specific strengths and skills, and they're either being misused or underused entirely. Take Jonnu Smith again. Sure, he's not the best blocker on the roster. That much is obvious. But this coaching staff knew that before they brought him in. Arthur Smith has coached him before, not once, but now for a third time. He knows Jonnu's game inside and out. He knows what he can do with the ball in his hands and what he struggles with in the trenches. So why would you bring in a guy with that profile only to bury him in the game plan when things get tough? It's not like Smith suddenly forgot how to be a threat. He's coming off one of the most productive seasons of his career. If anything, you'd think he'd be more involved now, not less. But instead, he's on the sideline while the offense sputters through 3-and-outs, and you've got fans asking the same questions every week. Where's the creativity? Where's the urgency? Why does everything feel like it's being patched together week by week instead of built around the strengths of the players? And yeah, you could say the offensive line is part of the reason for all the patchwork. It definitely is. But at some point, the coaching staff has to stop reacting to weaknesses and start building around what works. Because let's be honest, if your offense needs 2 extra blockers to function, then your offensive scheme is broken. That's not game planning, that's damage control. And damage control can only get you so far before you start losing ground on teams that know exactly who they are and what they want to do. Think about this. This team is struggling to stay on the field. Third downs are a nightmare. Drives stall constantly. And yet you've got 2 of the best third down options sitting right there, fully healthy and not being used. That's not just a waste, that's a mistake. And in a league where games are decided by inches, mistakes like that can cost you the season. This is where Arthur Smith really has to earn his paycheck. Because it's not just about drawing up plays that look good on the chalkboard. It's about understanding your personnel and putting them in positions to succeed. Right now, it feels like the opposite is happening. The tight ends are being taken off the field in situations where they could make a difference. The quarterbacks are being forced to rely on a shallow receiver group. And the offense as a whole feels like it's stuck in neutral, just trying not to fall apart instead of actually attacking defenses. Darnell Washington is the exception here. He's been given a chance, and he's made the most of it. But even that raises more questions. Because if Washington can step in and play that kind of role, help the line, make catches, bring physicality, then why not expand on that? Why not build more of the offense around that versatility? You don't have to become a run-heavy, tight-end, obsessed team overnight. But when you're short on receivers, when your line needs help, and when your tight ends are built like tanks with soft hands, maybe it's time to lean into that strength a little more. The idea that Jonnu Smith or Pat Freiermuth can't block like Washington shouldn't be a deal-breaker. They bring something else. They bring that chain-moving, possession game ability that opens up space for everyone else. You can still have Washington out there doing the dirty work, but that doesn't mean Smith or Freiermuth should be watching from the sideline. There's ought to be a way to balance those roles better, especially when you know what each guy brings to the table. And let's not pretend like Pat Freiermuth just stopped being good. He's had a quiet stretch, sure, but that's less about his ability and more about how he's being deployed. He's still that reliable safety valve, the guy who can sit down in a zone or beat a linebacker up the seam. And with a quarterback like Russell Wilson, who thrives when he has a dependable target in the middle of the field, Freiermuth's value should be through the roof. But if the staff keeps treating him like a luxury instead of a necessity, then they're just tying one hand behind their own back. The truth is, this whole conversation about the passing game and the WR2 spot can't be separated from the bigger issue, offensive identity. Right now, the Steelers don't have one. They're trying to survive week to week. Some games, it's all about keeping the pocket clean. Other games, it's about trying to force-feed Pickens and hope he makes a miracle play. But none of it feels cohesive. None of it feels like part of a bigger vision. And that's where this team is falling short. You can't just keep throwing different combinations on the field and hope one of them clicks. At some point, you have to commit to a strategy. If you want to be a team that plays through its tight ends, then do it. Lean into it. Make it the centerpiece. Let the wide receivers supplement that plan instead of the other way around. If you want to keep searching for a WR2, fine. But don't let that search keep you from using the weapons already in your hands. Because here's the harsh reality. This offense isn't going anywhere if the only plan is to wait for George Pickens to bail them out. That can't be the strategy. You need options. You need balance. And you need to trust the guys who have proven they can produce when given the chance. Whether that's Smith, Freiermuth, or Washington, it doesn't matter. What matters is putting your best players on the field and giving them roles that actually help the team move forward. But before we dive in, don't forget to subscribe to Steelers Nation Central and hit the like button on this video. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on the Pittsburgh Steelers. And don't forget to share your thoughts on the news in the comments below. The NFL rumor mill is buzzing with excitement after reports surfaced that Courtland Sutton has reportedly been sealed by the Pittsburgh Steelers, immediately sparking speculation about his impact on the team's red zone offense. While nothing has been officially confirmed beyond the initial announcement, insiders suggest that the move could reshape the Steelers' passing game in ways fans have been dreaming of. Sutton, known for his size, hands, and ability to make contested catches, has long been considered a red zone weapon in the league, and whispers indicate that Pittsburgh sees him as the next key piece to revitalize their scoring efficiency near the end zone. Sources close to the team hint that Sutton's presence could drastically alter defensive schemes around the Steelers, forcing opponents to rethink their coverage plans and possibly opening up opportunities for other offensive playmakers. The timing of this acquisition, coming at a moment when Pittsburgh is looking to solidify its identity and scoring consistency, has fueled chatter among analysts who believe Sutton could become an instant red zone nightmare for opposing defenses. The murmurs are not just about his potential impact on the field, but also his fit within the Steelers' locker room culture. Sutton's reputation as a professional and leader has reportedly impressed team insiders, leading to speculation that his influence might extend beyond the XS and OS, potentially mentoring younger receivers and stabilizing the team's offensive mentality. Fans on social media have already started creating highlight reels of Sutton's best end-zone catches, imagining the possibilities when he's paired with Pittsburgh's quarterback arsenal. Despite the excitement, there's an air of cautious optimism. Some analysts are questioning how Sutton will adapt to a new offensive system and whether defenses will quickly find ways to limit his effectiveness. Still, the buzz is undeniable. Pittsburgh's red zone just got a major upgrade. And if the whispers are true, Courtland Sutton may soon cement himself as the team's go-to weapon in those critical scoring moments. The Steelers' faithful, always hungry for big plays, are watching closely, waiting for Sutton to turn these rumors into highlight-worthy reality. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to keep receiving exclusive news about the Pittsburgh Steelers, make sure to subscribe to Steelers Nation Central and give this video a like. We always look forward to hearing your comments and opinions. See you in the next video.